The first one here is an idea of actually using legacy trial data to be able to combine with things like claims data and EHR data to make even better assessments of the types of potential patients out there in the field who are available for clinical trials, and getting a more longitudinal picture of the types of cohorts of interest. So one of the questions we always get is, I have a universe of different clinical trials. I run 70 different trials a year. Which ones are a fit, and how do I, and maybe I've got this trial over here that isn't necessarily a fit for real world data linkage today. And what we encourage a lot of organizations to think through is, well, go ahead and tokenize the data on that trial today, because those trial data provide an enormous amount of insight for lots of different companies who consistently look back at legacy trial data, look at how patient recruitment went, adherence to the trial, how the follow-up periods were managed. And so one really interesting use case we've seen is, hey, use that legacy data, combine that data with deeper claims data to potentially pull in additional information about patients that you didn't think about at the time you were running that trial, that specific trial you're wanting to pull in for new insight, and really be able to get a really complete picture. And so as maybe you have an incremental additional trial or a new phase of a study, you're really empowered with really great detail of, here's everything that happened about the patient, even beyond the questions I might have been asking at the time I was running that first study.
Fantastic. Yeah, and it's so clear the amount of value that exists there in terms of being able to go back in time, quote unquote, and really understand or contextualize those patients' experiences and understand where they are today, and have that insight really drive thinking through new strategies and new trials right now. So it's fantastic. Next use case?
Absolutely. So that was a before the trial use case. The one that I think is really kind of the slam dunk use case is this idea of reducing the burden of long-term follow-up for a number of trials. We hear this consistently. I came prior to Datavant, I spent over a decade in the site IT world. And one thing that we heard consistently from sites were sponsors were asking a lot of me, surely this data exists somewhere else. Is there some type of way that I can fulfill my obligation to the patients and to the study without necessarily requiring additional data capture to be done? And so one interesting use case we've seen emerge is actually the ability to use data like claims in relative real time. And this is why having a great data partner like Komodo Health comes in handy, because you're not able just to look at a single cut of claims data from 4 years ago. You can look at a robust map of the patient's experience during the course of the trial. But then you get the ability to say, especially for large trials where that follow-up burden could be quite significant, to be able to say, hey, we now know that these patients in between their study visits might have had unplanned clinical encounters that were really important to track. Maybe, unfortunately, the patient expired, and this gives us some additional detail about that happened. Or in some cases, even if the site had a 360-degree view of the patient within their health system and within their region, patient goes on work travel or on vacation and has another type of encounter that they didn't report back, it really gives you the ability to fill in all those missing gaps, so that then as you're trying to explain additional details about the trial, it really gives you the detail that was missing before, that the site couldn't have theoretically actually even captured.